Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Skye and today we are finally doing a 2 looks plus review with the Glaminatrix Pretty and Pastels palette. I have tried their pastel like Easter single shadows previously, but this is their first like palette of pastels and I'm so excited to talk about it with you guys. I am also going to be giving you my review of their cheek and lip flushes. But if you'd like to skip the review and you want to get straight into the looks, go to this timestamp right here on screen. It'll take you straight to look 1. There'll also be timestamps in the description down below. But if you want to hear my review and thoughts of the palette and the blushes, then just keep on watching. This palette was sent to me in PR, so thank you so much to Glaminatrix for sending this over, as well as the blushes. But this video is not sponsored in any way. I just love Glaminatrix and love featuring their stuff, so there you go. And I love how this palette is organized. The fact that all of them are in color scheme and like they're organized by like their tone. Oh, lovely. This is a 20 pan palette with 12 mattes and then 8 shimmers. I think I did the breakdown correctly. I'm not good at math, don't trust me on this. It retails for £35. I'll put the prices on screen for US dollars, Australian dollars, and euros. A lot of thoughts about this palette. As soon as they said that they were doing a pastel palette, I'm a self-proclaimed pastel goblin, alright? Pastels are my bread and butter. Fucking love them, alright? So I have very high standards for them. If you're curious about my favourite pastels, the ones that Blend Bunny does, I don't have their pastel palette, but they have pastels in like the Lua palette and that sort of thing. Love those pastels. Creepy Cute and the Fun Size palettes are my favourites. If we had to go strictly on formula, it would definitely be like Blend Bunny and the Shroud Cosmetics Creepy Cute. But let's talk about the matte shadows first. Like I mentioned already, I love how they are organised in colour family and by tone. It's like Blend Bunny does this as well. It just makes it really easy to like know what you're dipping into, you know? So I do have some negatives to say, unfortunately. Let's get the negatives out of the way first, shall we? So the shades Mystify and Visionary, the pink and the yellow pastel shades, they don't really show up on my skin tone. I have a light olive, like warm olive skin tone. They don't really show up on me. They are good blending out shades. I did use like these 2 shades for blending out in each individual look, and you do see like a kiss of colour, but they're so pale that they don't really show. And I understand that pastels are very light, they have a lot of white base to them, but that doesn't mean they can't have like strong chroma to them, you know? I'll give you an example right now, one moment. So in the Creepy Cute palette, we have this shade Strawberry Milk right here. So I'm just gonna swatch that on my hand for you. And this is a very pale pink, and you do have to build it up, which I'm fine with. Even when you do build up, like you can see that on my hand, right? It's a bit washed out because of my lighting, but like you can see that. If I swatch Mystify next to it, and like I am going in with it, okay? Like you just cannot see that. I understand that it's a cooler toned pink and Strawberry Milk is a more like peachy, like warmer toned pink, but this one just doesn't show up on my skin that well. Like you really have to go into it to see the colour, and that's Visionary right there. The white base is a bit too strong for my liking, at least. And I find the perfect kind of pastels have a white base, but they're not like stark white like that. Like you can see in the Creepy Cute how these are very light shades, but because of how pigmented they are and they still have a tiny bit of depth to them, you can still see them on your eyes. I just find that those 2 shades, like if I go quite far away, you can't really tell. You can only tell Visionary is there because I really built it up and did a very heavy swatch, but you don't really do that on your eyes. I also find that these 2 blues, they look the exact same on my eyes. They have a very slight undertone difference. For an example, Divine is more of like a turquoise undertone, and then Infatuation is more of like a sky blue. They don't really look that different on the eyes. I'm really sorry, they just don't. I don't really see the point of having both of those shades. I feel like you could have switched this out for like maybe a teal, like a light teal shade, and it would have been great, but not for me. Let's talk about the positives with the mattes. So those are my like critiques of the matte shadows. Now this formula is very akin to the Sugar and Spice and the Rich Romantic from Glaminatrix. They have gone through a few like formula changes of their like shadows, like their matte shadows, and I have liked every iteration of them. But with this formula, as well as the Sugar and Spice and Rich Romantic, these are more like buildable shadows. There's a bit of fallout in the pan when you put your brush in, but there's not really much fallout on your face. You do get fallout with the deeper shades, like when you're applying it on your eyes, but I always find that if you want a pigmented deep shade, it will have fallout, like that's kind of a given. But these deep shades, let's just talk about them for a minute. Glaminatrix does some of the best deepening shades on the market. They're akin with Blend Bunny in my opinion. The pigment is next level. I didn't use like the green and the like burgundy color in the two looks today, but I have used them extensively off camera and oh my god, they are so good. You barely have to build them up on your lid. They stay that like true color. Like the navy blue does not blend out into a gray at all, and I do find that that happens with some navies sometimes. It stays deep blue. Same with all of these. They all are so wonderful, and I think that them adding really deep shades into a pastel palette really like amps this up and changes it, because if it was just that, like yeah, it's still a very gorgeous pastel palette, but I think the deeper shades just make it a bit more universal. I have done several looks where you would not be able to tell that I used a pastel palette to create it. Now let's talk about the shimmers in this palette. So these shimmers I believe are just kind of their like shimmery duochrome formula. So they're not like, they are like shimmery and sparkly, but they're not their hyper sparkly formula, but they do have a nice shine, as you can see in the pan. Some of these are better than others. Like for an example, these blues, especially this shade Ethereal, the light blue. I tend to just have the issues with the blues, I've noticed. This shade is a bit more satiny, like it's just not as shiny as I would want it to be. The baby pink as well, this is Surreal. I find that because of how light this is, it, as you can see, like when the shine hits it, it doesn't really look that pink. It looks a bit more like silvery, like icy. Icy is the right word. I wish this was a bit more pink. Like I just feel like these pastel pinks, they could have been a bit more, like actually a bit more pink, you know? But the rest of the shades in this palette, the greens, I didn't even talk about like the greens at all so far, but the green column is my favorite. The tones in this one are so different and unique in my collection, especially this top shade. What's it called? Soulful. That shade is my favorite tone of green, and it is so sparkly on your lid, and it's just a beautiful like sagey, minty, like leaf green. Soothing as well is a very beautiful deep based like green emerald duochrome. It is wonderful. I love the choices of greens, and also these two greens, this is how you do like the same kind of like, you know, the same pastel green, but they look very different. Like we have a grass green, and then we have like a sea foamy, like blue toned green. They look so different on the eyes. They're perfect. I also really like the yellow and the orange and the purple. This blue as well. The only two shades I have issues with are the blue and the pink, like the palest ones, but I still do use them. Like I would change them, but they're not like, I don't dislike them enough to like never use them, you know? I will say that this purple metallic right here, it's called Ambient. This one does stain your eyes a little bit. I don't find that any of the mattes do, weirdly enough, just this shimmer shade. I think because it probably has Red Lake in it, I believe. Red Lake is a type of pigment that they use in eyeshadow and like cosmetics and all of that sort of stuff. I think this shadow does, at least. I'm not too sure if this specific shadow has it, but Red Lake tends to stain your skin, so my belief it is, and it's in the ingredients list. But I really like this shade, so I don't really care if it stains a little bit. I'm not really too bothered with staining. It's not really bothersome to me. This palette also has a really big mirror, and all of the shadows in here are magnetized in here, so you can take them out with a magnet, put them in with your single shadows. One of the many reasons why I fucking love Glaminatrix. It's just, I love mixing shit with my single shadows, and these pans are the same size as Sugar and Spice and Rich Romantic, so you can swap them out with those palettes too. Overall, while I do have like some issues with this palette, more so than other Glaminatrix palettes, I still really like it. I do feel like though this palette will be more so a companion palette with other palettes for me. I tend to like to do that nowadays. Normally, honestly, if I'm not filming these videos, I genuinely usually use like 2 palettes to create a look, or like a palette and a bunch of singles to create a makeup look. But even still, I really enjoyed this. I think it's really fun, great to play with. I don't know if you have deeper skin than me, if these pastels will show up on you. I'm pretty sure there are some like deeper skin creators, like I know DeAndra Nicole does get Glaminatrix PR, so I think like look at her review. I'll link her down below, she's great. But yeah, I can't really comment on that, but I do really like the palette. I think for £35, like I would purchase this myself, and I mean I did purchase this myself, and then Glaminatrix were like, oh shit, we were meant to send it to you in PR, so we'll refund you. And I was like, oh hell yeah, nice. But off camera, I have dipped into this palette for these 2 columns specifically, like the green and the like yellowy orange one. They're just wonderful. I really like it. Yeah, those are my thoughts on the Pretty in Pastels palette. Now real quick, before we get into the looks, I want to talk about my review of the lip and cheek flushes, the liquid blushes. They sent me every shade, and I will put a picture of like them swatched out heavily with like the names and stuff. They're not blended out, they're just like full pigment swatches. But here are the swatches of the liquid blushes right here. Now I'm holding up all of them, but I'm actually giving like the shade Poppy to my mum because I do have a shade similar to it in my collection already. But my thoughts on these blushes, they are really lovely. I think these are very easy to work with liquid blushes. They're not too pigmented. Like I put on a lot of blush today. Like I put on so many swipes of the shade Sunny. But it looks like a natural amount of blush. At least for me, this is natural for me. They do have a nice like satin finish to them. They're a bit dewy if you don't set them, like not super dewy, but like a little bit. Now here's the thing, I've got oily skin, and I always say I'm not changing my routine for any cheek product. Like if they don't work on top of like a set base, then I'm not using them. These do not work on top of a set base, which shouldn't be surprising because liquid and cream products shouldn't. They usually shouldn't. You should always lay down all your liquids and then powder them on top. And normally that would really piss me off, but like I've started to really like doing it, and I actually really, because I love the effect of these blushes. They are very beautiful. They're not like the rare beauty blushes where they're like incredibly pigmented that you have to be careful. Like I can apply a fuck ton of this on my cheeks and they still look like natural, like somehow. I really love the shades that they included. They're all very me shades. Like I mean, we've got like a pinky peach, like a mauve color, and like this brown shade Lavish. Oh my fucking god, I love it. I know, especially in the autumn time, I am literally gonna eat this. Like it's beautiful. I really hope that they come out with more shades because I think this is a very good like neutral, like natural base to go off of, but I think they can do some really fun shades in this formula. I haven't really tried them on my lips. I don't really like using you know, multitask products like that. I just like using these on my cheeks, but I do really recommend these, and I believe, let me check their retail price. They retail for £14 each. I'll put the prices on screen again. US dollars, Australian dollars, and euros. I really recommend these. I think the shades that I'd recommend the most, the ones I use the most are Lavish and Gentle. I love these so much. I also really, all 4 of these, honestly, I really like. The packaging is really lovely. Like, it's just very luxurious looking. Like, I love the, like, vibe that Glaminatrix is going for their other products. Like, this is just nice. Oh, and it also has a nice doe foot applicator, as you can see. If you want to see how these all look on my cheeks, I did do a like cheek swatching reel where I did like a very light layer and then a really heavy layer of each of the blushes. But yeah, I think I've been waffling on for so long. Hopefully this was helpful to you if you were thinking about the Glaminatrix Pretty in Pastels palette. It is still available now, and also I will preface that both of the looks that I did were very inspired. One of them was a direct recreation. This one is very heavily inspired by my friend JakualFrosti on Instagram. She does have a discount code with Glaminatrix, Frosty in all caps. I really recommend using her code. I absolutely love Jack, and this video is just a love letter to them. So thank you, Jack, for inspiring my makeup looks with this. I just couldn't help myself. They were both really pretty, like the looks that they did, so I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna do them. I want them on my face. But yeah, if you'd like to see how I got this makeup look and another look that I did with Pretty in Pastels, then just keep on watching. Alright, welcome to the first look using the Glaminatrix Pretty in Pastels palette. Now you may notice that I've got one eye done already. That's because I had to let my camera battery charge, and I thought, let me practice on this eye first, because this look, you may recognize it if you're on makeup Instagram, but this is a recreation of my friend JakualFrosti's look. Ever since they did this look on Instagram, it's been living in my head rent-free, and I've been wanting to recreate it so badly, and I thought, you know what? It uses quite a lot of shades from the new palette, so it would be perfect to use today. And we are going to do it together. So first I'm going to prime my eye with the Alter Ego eyeshadow primer, and I'm not going to be setting it. I do like this eyeshadow primer. I still prefer my Milani one, but my Milani one is expired. Now this look essentially uses all the green shades with a pop of blue and yellow. So first we're going to be dipping into this shade Entrance. It is a warm grass green. And I'm taking this on a blending brush that's kind of flat. And I'm just gonna first pat it on and blend all over my lid, kind of leaving this outer part open because we're gonna put the other pastel green there. The greens in this palette are my favorite shades in the palette, but are we really surprised? These are like my favorite tones of green, and they are nicely pigmented while still being pastel. Now I'm going to take the shade Labyrinth, the cooler toned green. This one has more of a turquoise seafoam undertone, and on the same brush, so the shades kind of blend together better, I'm going to be putting this on the outer portion and winging it out. I do like that these shades have the same chroma, like the same vibrancy, whilst being different enough, because I find a lot of the shades, well, at least a couple of the shades in this palette to be a little bit redundant, and that just looks so bloody lovely. Now we're going to go onto the lower lash, and we're going to take Entrance again, and I'm taking this on a flat packing brush, and I am putting this on just all over my lower lash, to be honest. Just whacking it everywhere. And then we're going to go back in with Labyrinth on the same brush, add a portion. Nice and simple. And to be honest, this blend right here is already a really nice look. Just pop a shimmer on and in a corner and you're good to go. But we're going extra, because I want to be as cool as Jack, even though I'm most certainly not. That's purely because I'm insecure. I know what for. It's because I've got crippling OCD. I'm so sorry you didn't come to this video for like... That was a little deep for a 2 looks plus review. So now that we have that nice base laid down, we are going to do the fun, like, graphic blended liner situation. And I just took the shade Peaceful. This is the deep navy in the palette. I fucking love this shade. It's such a good navy. And I'm taking this on a really fine angle brush. This is from Nabla. It's my favorite one. And first we're gonna sketch out the point. Now, I don't want this to meet the outer portion of my eye. I want it to be kind of like here in the middle of like the outer corner. So first, I like to just stamp it on. And then we'll build out the wing. It's kind of hard to talk while doing this, but yeah. We will build up the pigment after we've laid down the basic shape. The key to make it look blended is to swipe. Not back and forth, just swipe outwards. Kind of like you're drawing hairs, in a way. And you have to make sure you have minimal product on your brush. And then we're going to intensify the pigment by stamping on. If you want your liner, like shadow liner, to be more pigmented, stamp. If you want it to be blended more, you want to swipe. My liner always ends up being siblings, not twins, but that's just how it be. Now we're going to do like the normal wing part. Now, the way that I like to do this for my eye shape is I like to go kind of where my waterline is, like in this area. I don't know how else to describe it. Just where my waterline is, and then follow my waterline upward. This is the angle I find works best for my eye shape. Obviously you can alter this to however your eye shape is. Just making a nice little line and connecting it a little bit to the lid. And then while we're here, we're going to do the scary part, which is the inner corner liner. I am notoriously quite terrible at this. I feel like this came out really good though. It's probably my best attempt that I've ever done. And again, we're just going to let the brush do all the work for us. I'm just stamping. Hello? Kitty? What are you doing? I've got a Molly. Not that you can... Oh, Molly. Do you want to say hello? Molly. I'm really glad she jumped on my lap then, not while I had the brush right against my eye. And yeah, I am just letting the brush create the shape. The issue is I always end up getting carried away and wanting to make it like more and more pointy, more and more big. And then it ends up being a little bit obscene. Once again, siblings not twins. They're not fraternal siblings. Is it fraternal where they look like each other? No, I don't know. I don't have a twin. And for the finishing touches, we're going to be adding some shimmers. And we're going to use my favourite shimmer in the palette, Soulful. This gorgeous, like, fairy mist green. It's just so lovely. I'm not going to be using any, like, glitter primer. And just, because I kind of want this to be, like, a smattering of shimmer. I'm just going to use my finger and pat that essentially all over the lid. Oh, it's just such a nice shade. Truly, this is my most used shade in the palette. And I can see myself hitting pan in this, like, relatively soon. I love it, I love it, I love it. It reminds me of the shade that I loved so much in the Odense Elva 2 palette. Reminds me of that. But more sparkly. And then because Jack added some depth, which I thought was really cool, like, they added depth with shimmer, they used Soothing right here, this beautiful deep emerald green. And I'm gonna take this, like, on the tip of my finger, if that makes sense. And I'm just gonna put this right against my lash line. You could use a brush to make this a bit easier if you've got nails, but even if you don't have nails, it would just be easier if you use a brush. But am I gonna do that? No. Fingies are my best tool, and god damn it, I will use them for every step if I could. It just adds like a nice bit of depth. I'm gonna layer a bit of Soulful on top of it, just so it blends together. It just adds some nice depth. Honestly, I'm gonna do this technique a lot more now that Jack has shown me the way. And finally, we're gonna take the beautiful light yellow. This is Magical. And I'm going to take this on my super tiny inner corner brush, except we're not really using this on the inner corner. Well, we kind of are. I'm going to place this underneath where we've put that blue, right here. Apologise that I need to have the mirror literally like inside my face in order to see what I'm doing. Oh, and I forgot! I also added a pop of Visionary, this super pale yellow, on a fluffy brush. Just kind of a light dusting here, just to bring a bit of light. And then on top of that, I took Magical, but on my finger, and just added a bit of yellow, and I'm gonna pinpoint that a bit more. I'm gonna pinpoint that a bit more with this brush. I don't know why I use my finger like a silly boy. I feel like I fucked up my inner corner by doing that, but I'm gonna do the finishing touches and we'll be back with the finished look. Alright, the rest of my makeup is done. If you're curious about what I used for my eyeliner and my waterline, I used the Odense Salmon Gel Liner in the shade number 3, the yellow one. For my mascara, of course, Lottie London Super Fake. And for my lips, I basically wiped off the lip oil that I was using because I'm trying to pan it and replaced it with a lip, like, not an oil, but a lip balm that's basically the same colour, just a little bit cooler toned. This is the Rare Beauty Stay Glossy lip balm. Was it Stay Glossy? Glossy lip balm in the shade Nearly Neutral. I absolutely love this stuff. Oh, I haven't used it in so long. It's just bloody lovely. I'll tell you what, it's really nice. Anyway, this is the final look. I want to give massive credit to JakualFrosti on Instagram. Please give them a follow because they just have taste. Their taste is incredible. So that concludes my first look using the Pretty in Pastels palette. Now let's move on to look number 2. We're now going to do the second look with the Pretty in Pastels palette, and as you can see I have done one eye off camera again because I just wanted to experiment, and coincidentally the look that I'm doing today is also inspired by my friend Jack, but with a bit more like fairy vibe. This is Jack's look right here. As you can see, they did like something really smoky with like the purples and the oranges, and those were the shades that I hadn't used yet in this palette, so Jack, thank you for carrying my looks in this video. So we are going to be using these two columns right here. So first things first, I'm going to be priming my eyes with Milani eyeshadow primer and not setting it. Actually, I'm not, because that smells expired. I'm actually going to be priming my eyes with the Alter Ego eyeshadow primer. So until I buy a new one, we're going to be using the Alter Ego primer, which this is very similar to the Milani one. So I'm not mad. I still prefer the Milani. So to start things off, I'm taking the shade Imaginary, the mac and cheese, like artificial yellow orange. I'm taking this on a fluffy brush and I'm going to fluff this on the inner portion of my crease. I love the pigment of this shade. It's just so seamless. Also, I'm going to zoom you in a bit closer. Forgot to do that, sorry. I'm now taking the Pastel Pink Mystify, and I mentioned this in the review. This is not my favourite shade. I really have to go in. And then when I try to apply it, it just kind of, like, can you really see that? Not really. It blends in to my skin tone too much. It is a nice, like, blending out shade, but, like, it's a disappointing shade. But I am laying this down first because I did it on the other side and you can see, like, the light pink blend there. So it does have a purpose, but yeah. Also just gonna run that on my lower lash to give the deeper purples something to blend into. And then we're gonna go in with the shade Fanciful, this lovely, like, cool toned lavender. I'm actually gonna take that on a different brush because that bigger brush is better for, like, bigger areas. This one's better for targeting. I'm just gonna put that in the outer corner and, like, wing it out, as I always do. And I'm making sure that, like, it doesn't cross over where the orange is, because orange, well, yellow and purple are opposites on the colour wheel, and if you try and blend them together, you will create brown, and we do not want brown. I want there to be two distinct contrasting colours. And I'm just putting that purple on my lower lash, kind of leaving the inner corner of my lower lash free. Okay, and now we're going to go in with the deep purple. What's this shade called? Tranquil. This is a really gorgeous, like deep violet colour. It's actually more indigo, I would say. Violet's more warm toned. I'm going to take that on the same brush and we're going to pat that to deepen up the outer V. I absolutely love the deep shades that Glaminatrix makes. Like, they're just next level. And especially this purple, it just works. And I'm gonna be a bit messy, like putting it on my lid a little bit like that, because we're gonna cover it with shimmer anyway, so it doesn't really matter if it's not super precise. And do not forget the outer portion of your lower lash. I'm now going to take a little bit of the Faerie Pixie Epoxy. You can use the NYX Glitter Glue instead. I'm just going to tap a very thin layer on with my finger. I love using this anytime I use any shimmery eyeshadow. And then it's time to add the fun shimmers. I feel like this is kind of like... This looks like a basketball team's like colours, doesn't it? I don't know anything about basketball, but I feel like this is like basketball colours. Anyway, we're gonna take the shade Ambient, the purpley metallic, on my finger, and we're gonna put that on the outer portion of the lid. And you want to make sure, you can stamp this a bit over where you put that purple matte shade and kind of place it in a diagonal and bring it up to where the two mattes meet. But you don't want to put this purple too over where the orange matte goes. Does that make sense? And then we're going to take this orangey shade, Idealist, also on my finger, and we're going to put that on the inner portion where the orange is. I do think this colour combo is really lovely. I rarely do like orange and purple together, but I really like it. And with that orange shade, I'm just tapping over the edge of where that purple shimmer is, just to blend them together nicely. Now we're finishing up the look, so I'm going to be taking Surreal, the baby pink metallic, and I'm taking that on my finger again. I'm just finger painting basically. And I'm going to put this on the inner portion of my lower lash, where we left that gap, because this will bring a bit of brightness. I love putting metallics there. I just think it's so like, sprightly. It also kind of matches, like, makes the shape kind of more connected, I guess. Like, brings the coolness down here so it's not as stark. I don't know. And finally, we're going to take the shade Magical, the lemon yellow metallic, and we're going to use that as our inner corner highlight. Plop that right there. Oh, I really like this shade. Okay, I'm going to go off camera, finish up the rest of my makeup, finish the eyes, and we're going to be back with the finished look. Alright, so I finished up my makeup. If you're curious about what I used, for my eyeliner, I used the Udden's Eye Salmon Gel Liner in the shade 08. It's their like lilac shade. The mascara, of course, Lottie London Super Fake. For the rhinestones, I just got this pack off of Amazon. It came in like a pack of 3 with like silver and like iridescent ones and then like colour ones. So I just used like a champagne-y one and like a purple one. This set is good if you're starting out, but all of them are the same size. I wish there was size variants, but you can't have it all sometimes. For my cheeks, I am using the Glaminatrix liquid blush in the shade Sunny. And then for my lips, I am using a lip combo. I love this one for like a pale, like neutral lip. This is the Colourpop not creme gel, lippy pencil in the shade BFF, mixed in with the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb in Cake Shake. I'm so sorry, my brain's all over the place. But yeah, this is the final look. I really, really like it. The rhinestones, I think, just add something a bit extra. And this is just a really fun colour combo. Isn't the Lakers, are they the basketball team that have this colour scheme? I don't know. Any of y'all Americans that watch basketball, please let me know. But I really love how this look came out. It's super pretty. And yeah, let's just get into the outro, shall we? As I awkwardly slowly zoom out. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Do let me know, have you picked up Pretty in Pastels? What are your thoughts? And also, if you have any of the blushes from them, I really love these blushes. Like, I have been using them non-stop. They're just so good. If you'd like to see more makeup content from me, you can follow me on my Instagram. It's faerie.skye right here. I post all my looks there and I'm active on there every single day. And if you'd like to support me further, I do have my own small business, Rain Cloud Candles Co. We're a small queer-owned business based in the UK, and we make handmade candles and wax melts. The link to shop will be down below, along with our social media if you'd like to support us. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I'd love to have you here. And as always, stay safe, wash your hands, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!